All right, so hopefully you found some success with what we did previously where you had to solve by elimination. The only difference between that and what we're doing today is you're going to have to manipulate both equations to create a scenario where either the x variable or the y variable will cancel out. Now, what I mean by that is if you look at this one, I can't simply multiply the -6 by something to make it cancel out a -7, or I can't multiply the -4 by something to make it cancel out a 6. So you have to think a little bit bigger on this one. There's two different ways you can do this. You can, if you're really good with multiplication and you understand the concept of least common multiple, I can create a situation where both of my y coefficients are a 12. I could multiply the top one by 3 and the bottom one by 2, and I would get that situation. I think, and this is me, I've been teaching math for 20 some years, it's a little bit quicker if you use the numbers from one equation to help you cancel out what's in the other one. Now, what I mean by that is I'm going to take both of these equations and I'm going to multiply the top equation by the 6 from the bottom equation. And I'm going to multiply the bottom equation by the 4 from the top equation. Now, when I do that, I'm multiplying 6 and 4 and 4 and 6. I'm creating a pair of 24s that are going to cancel out. If you see a smaller number to work with, by all means do it, and it'll carry out through the rest of the problem. It'll work. But if you're not sure what to multiply by, you can always use the number from the other equation on the same variable. So I grab the 6 from the y and the 4 from the y, and those are the ones I'm using. So when I do that, I'm going to multiply everything by that. That's going to create a -36 here, a -24, and 120. That is one downside to doing this. You're using a little bit bigger number, and it's going to create some bigger numbers to work with, but it still works. -28x plus 24y equals 8. And again, if you look at your columns, that y column is going to cancel itself out. So when I add these guys up, -36 and -28 is -64. And over here, I have the y's cancel, and I have a positive 128. Divide out your -64. And I've got x to be -2. When I do the second half of this and I plug that -2 back in, I always go back to one of the original equations because the numbers are smaller. You can plug it into one of the two that you came up with. It'll work. Bigger numbers to work with, though. So the reason I go with the smaller numbers is so I don't need a calculator to work with it. So I'm going to plug a -2 in here. -7 times -2 plus 6y equals 2. Now, I chose that bottom equation because there's fewer negative numbers in it. 14 plus 6y equals 2. 6y equals -12. So my solution, the point where these cross, what happened there? My mouse doesn't like me today. My solution is -2 from the x, -2 from the y. Okay? There are easier ways to do this if you recognize the smaller numbers. Okay? And I'll do that on this one. So, okay. For the first one, I can multiply the first equation by 10, the bottom equation by 9. Then I'm working with 90s. But look at the y numbers. They're a little bit smaller. I can multiply the top equation by 3, the bottom equation by 4. If you don't already have a built-in positive and negative, you'll need to multiply one of them by a negative number. But because of the -4, this one's going to be okay. I got a -27x minus 12y equals -66. -40x plus 12y equals -34, 68. The y's cancel. -67x, -150, 134. -134. Divide out your -67. X is positive 2. Okay, again, take that value, plug it back into either one of the original equations. They're both about as ugly as each other, so I'm going to go to the bottom one. Plug it in for X. So that's negative 20 plus 3y plus negative 17. Add 20. 3y is 3. So your solution to this guy is 2, 1. When you give me your answer, make sure you put the x coordinate first, then the y coordinate. I want to see all your work on these, but I'm looking for the answer to be an ordered pair. Remember, these are points. The equations are lines. We've got a pair of lines. We're trying to find out where they cross. If you're not sure about this, do one problem, take a picture, turn it in. Let me see that one problem before you do them all. I've got these set up where I get notified as soon as you do it. So do one, let me see it. I'll get back to you if you're good and you can keep plugging away, or I can make some comments and kind of help you along the way.